A lot of Miami Dolphins news to get into on today's show, but make sure you are subscribed. You saw it over the weekend. Shaq Barrett retired, and we covered you and then had the top 5 possible replacements for him as well. So make sure you subscribe to get all the news and notes around your Miami Dolphins, but also let's beat the Philadelphia Eagles in our July sub battle. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. There is a lot we have to talk about, and the Miami Dolphins are looking to replace Shaq Barrett by hosting 2 NFL free agents at the edge position. We'll talk about both of those names in just a second, but also stick around because Greg Van Roten, someone that we've talked about quite a bit about being a Dolphins free agent target, could be off the board relatively soon. That's not good news for Miami, but the good news is for the Dolphins comes from Barry Jackson, who says, in the wake of Shaq Barrett retirement, Dolphins are auditioning multiple edge players on Monday. Besides Emmanuel Ogbah, who is initially reported by Cameron Wolf, Yannick Ngakoue also will be at Dolphins headquarters on Monday, his agent said on a segment. And to me, this makes a lot of sense because when you think of the top free agent edges available, the first 2 names that come to mind are Yannick Ngakoue and Emmanuel Ogbah. And it's very important to me that they sign one of the 2 because after the retirement of Shaq Barrett, this edge group looks a little thin. And yes, you see the entire linebacking crew, but Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are recovering from injuries. Phillips, the torn Achilles, Bradley Chubb, the knee injury, and their 2 primary backups, Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara. Those 2 are rookies. Are you going to rely on them that early in the season to generate pass rush against Trevor Lawrence in week 1, Josh Allen in week 2? And then you also have Cameron Good, who has been around this organization for a little bit, but he's also returning from an injury. So you do not have a lot of depth here, and you need a reliable veteran edge extremely, extremely bad. I do think Chubb and or Phillips will be available for week 1, but it still remains to be seen how active and productive they can actually be returning from injury and if they're going to be 100%. But I don't want to rely on Mo Kamara and Chop Robinson fully, and that was the idea that Chris Grier had when he signed Shaq Barrett. And this is a big loss. Don't get it twisted. Sure, he had a couple down seasons the past 2 years in Tampa Bay, but he was a driving force in that team that won it all in 2020 and tried to repeat in 2021. Like, he is a 2-time Super Bowl champion with Denver and Tampa, and he is someone who is one of the top edge rushers in the game just 2 or 3 seasons ago. So you will need to find a good replacement for him, and to me, I think these are your top guys. Yannick Ngakoue 1, Emmanuel Ogbah 2, Carl Lawson 3, Marcus Golden 4, and then Tyus Bowser, I think, is 5. We talked about all 5 of them yesterday on our Shaq Barrett replacement videos, but we're only going to focus on Ngakoue and Ogbah coming up here in just a second because those 2 are the guys that are actually working out for the Dolphins. And before I get into each player, what they can bring to the table for the Fins, let me know what edge rusher you would have off first glance. Type YN for Yannick Ngakoue or type EO for the former Miami Dolphin, Emmanuel Ogbah. Ngakoue is definitely the more productive player over his career. He's been around the block, that is for sure. Started his career with the Jacksonville Jaguars, went to Minnesota, Baltimore, Las Vegas, Indianapolis, and last year was with the Chicago Bears. And you look at his numbers, and it's just impressive. Last season with Chicago was the first time in his entire career that he did not have 8 sacks or more. He is just incredibly consistent at getting after the pass rusher. He's experienced. He knows how to do it. There's a lot of different reasons on why Ngakoue might have not been able to get to that 8-sack mark last season. Battled injuries a little bit. Also was the person that the opposing offensive line focused on the most. Rather than in his previous career, he was playing with another edge rusher that was actually capable. That didn't happen in Chicago until they traded for Montez Sweat. But if you were to sign Ngakoue to this team, he would be your 3rd guy, and he's never been a 3rd guy in his career. So having him get to work in and alongside Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb when those 2 are fully healthy could be absolutely elite. Now, there is one downside to Ngakoue, and most edge rushers have this, but not all. He is not a good player in the run department whatsoever. He provides absolutely no stoppage from the outside areas in terms of stopping the run. That's obviously not a good thing, but like I said, you're just signing him to potentially be your 3rd guy in that edge group, so you're not asking him to do a ton. but man, oh man, he can certainly rush the passer. We're going to get to Emmanuel Ogbah here just in a second, but welcome GameTime back into the sponsor club, and I am so excited that they are back. My favorite ticketing app, the best way to get seats. As the summer progresses, there's concert, there's baseball games, and football season is just around the corner. This is where you have to be to get your tickets. You can go to Marlins games if you're in Miami, or you can just start prepping your trip down to the 305 to watch the Dolphins this upcoming NFL season. You can watch them in the preseason as they host the Falcons and Commanders, or go to an early season game where they take on the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. That is September 12th. I couldn't be more excited for that. You can customize the way you get your tickets as well by looking at zone deals, looking at lists of seats that are available. You can look at a map, flash deals. There is everything that you can possibly need to get tickets on this app. And my personal favorite is the all-in pricing, because I think it's just the easiest way to buy tickets. Is you don't get hit with the hidden fees when you're checking out. No, you see how much the tickets would actually cost while you're viewing your seat. Hey, talk about another plus right there. You see it on screen. You can see the exact vantage point that your seat would actually be. That's why GameTime's the best. They have so many different features that other ticketing apps just simply don't have. So make sure you go download the app today, GameTime in your app store, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. One more time, make sure, go to download the app. You see the big black logo with the G in the middle of it. ChatSports is the code. That link will be in the description and comments as well. Get yours today. All right, let's transition into Emmanuel Ogbah now, because he has been someone who has been very effective for the Miami Dolphins. His first two seasons with the Fins were just tremendous, 9 sacks apiece, and then a couple down years. Battled injuries in 2022, didn't really see the field, wasn't that productive, tried to bounce back in 2023, but after the Bradley Chubb trade was just kind of put on the back burner there as that third guy, so he at least knows what his role would be on this Dolphins team since, well, he had it last season. And you might remember or realize that he didn't want to come back to Miami after they let him go earlier on in the offseason. Well, I think there is a chance that he could actually return to the Dolphins now because of the change in schemes. The initial not wanting to return was because of the scheme. He didn't like the fit with Vic Fangio, wanted to play in something that fits him better, which I completely understand. You got to do what's best for you. But here's the thing. With Anthony Weaver coming aboard now as the new Dolphins defensive coordinator, it is a better fit for Emmanuel Ogbah. Therefore, I do believe that it could make sense to reunite with him because he would now fit better. He knows how to play. He knows Mike McDaniel. He knows some of these other players on the Dolphins defense. There is a lot of reasonings to actually bring back Emmanuel Ogbah, considering the changes in schemes and how he could be more effective and the need for Ogbah. I am choosing Yannick Ngakoue in free agency, though. I asked you earlier who you wanted to pick between Ogbah and Ngakoue. I would go with Ngakoue. He's the more productive player. He's the more established pass rusher. He's also a little bit younger than Emmanuel Ogbah. Ngakoue's 29. Ogbah's pushing on the plus side of 30. I think Yannick would add a much more established pass rusher in rotation, and I think he's the closest thing in free agency in terms of production standpoints as Shaq Barrett would be. And since you got blindsided with his retirement, I think a nice little pivot and rebound would be Yannick Ngakoue, who's still sitting out there in NFL free agency. All right, let's close out the show with talking some offensive line, because Jeremy Fowler had the note that veteran guard Greg Van Roten is making a free agent visit to the New York Giants. Van Roten played well as a starter for the Raiders last season. This is very concerning to me because it's someone that I have been very outspoken about wanting to sign for Miami to be that starting right guard, as they still don't have a clear replacement for Robert Hunt, who left for the Panthers in free agency. And with him potentially visiting the Giants, I'm just crossing my fingers that a deal doesn't get done in the next 48 hours. Are you concerned about losing Greg Van Roten in free agency, though? He could be gone. He could be out of Giant tomorrow, for all I know. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Obviously seems unlikely, but I would make the Greg Van Roten signing now, and that is abundantly clear if you've been watching this show for the past month or so. I have just been bullish on Greg Van Roten. I've been singing his praises, if you will, because he was really good for the Raiders last year. He played in all 17 games playing right guard, put up good PFF numbers, was a top 10 interior offensive lineman in terms of pass blocking, no penalties. Like, he is so clearly the best NFL free agent available on the interior offensive line. I still don't know how any team hasn't signed him. And well, maybe that's finally being realized because Joe Schoen and the New York Giants are going out and having him come in for a visit. Now, it's unlikely that Miami will just sign him today or tomorrow because of their extensive work with the pass rushers and maybe Van Roten visiting the Giants. But if he does not come away with a contract in New York, I would sign one of the two pass rushers, whether it be Ogbah or Ngakoue, today, tomorrow, and then start working on Greg Van Roten right away. Dolphins have about $19 million in cap space after Shaq Barrett retired. Use it on two signings, $5 million, $4.5 million each. Why not? Let's bolster this roster and get this team really, really humming as training camp opens with a practice on Wednesday. All right, make sure you are subscribed. I mentioned training camp. We're going to have you covered with the best Miami Dolphins training camp news. Every single day, we'll have a video for you. So hit that sub button and join the channel. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Go Fins.